video, we learned how to write a major scale on any starting note by following the major scale pattern of tones and semitones. In this video, we're going to take a closer look at three scales: C major, F major, and G major. We used C major as one of our examples last week and discovered that the scale does not contain any sharps or flats. Only the natural notes or white keys of the keyboard are used. If we use the same pattern, we will discover that G major contains one sharp note, F sharp, and F major contains one flat note, B flat. Working out the notes of a scale using the major scale pattern of tones and semitones is time consuming, so it's worth learning and remembering these three scales. C major contains only natural notes, G major contains an F sharp, and F major contains a B flat. We may be asked to write our scale in several different ways. The first characteristic of our scale we may be asked to alter is the direction. We could be asked to write our scale ascending, which means going up, or descending, which means going down. In both cases, the exact same notes are used. If you are using the major scale pattern to work out the notes of your scale, please remember that this is only used for the ascending version of your scale. The semitones always fall between the third lowest and fourth lowest notes and the second highest and highest notes. We may also be asked to write our scale using different note values. In all of my examples thus far, I have used semibreves, but you may be asked to use any other note value you know. When using any note value other than a semibreve, it's important to take the direction of the note stems into consideration. Please remember that the stems of notes that sit below the middle line must go up on the right-hand side of the note, while stems of notes that sit above the middle line must go down on the left-hand side of the note. The stems of notes that sit on the middle line may go up or down. As I mentioned in the previous video, major scales consist of 8 notes. We can number the notes of the scale and then refer to different degrees of the scale. If we look at the three scales we know, C major, G major, and F major, and number the degrees of each scale, we can see that the note C is the first degree of the C major scale, the fourth degree of the G major scale, and the fifth degree of the F major scale. Each note of the scale has a specific function and name. The seventh degree of the scale, for example, is called the leading note and creates tension in the scale. Listen to the scale which stops after the seventh degree or leading note. It has a sense of tension or instability. The leading note is pulling us back to the first degree of the scale. As I mentioned earlier in this video, each degree of the scale has a specific name and function, but for now you only need to learn 4 of these names. The first degree of the scale is called the tonic. This is our tonal center and it has a sense of stability and resolution. The fourth degree of the scale is called the subdominant and provides music with a sense of movement. The fifth degree of the scale is called the dominant and shares the same function as the seventh degree or leading note of the scale, which is to give a sense of tension. It's important that you can identify the tonic, subdominant, dominant, and leading note of the 3 scales you know. Please practice writing these scales on the accompanying notes. Scale writing instructions can be quite complex, so please ensure that you read the instructions carefully before you begin. Please also feel free to come and see me if you need any help with this section of work.